Ladies and gentlemen, not every silence is peace, and not every smile is love. Sometimes the harshest truth hides in the little things a man does. If a man genuinely hates you, his actions will speak louder than his words. He will no longer treat you with respect. Every word that comes from his mouth will cut like a blade, cold, dismissive, and sharp. He will avoid conversations not because he is busy, but because your voice irritates him. Even your smallest actions will trigger his anger, as if your presence alone is a burden. When a man hates you, he will not value your opinions or feelings. He will dismiss your thoughts without consideration, making you feel invisible. His body language will reveal more than his lips ever will. Crossed arms, rolling eyes, a back turned when you seek closeness. These are not accidents, they are signals of rejection. Hatred shows itself in cruelty. He will belittle you in public, embarrass you in front of others, and take pleasure in making you feel small. He will refuse to spend quality time with you, choosing distance over intimacy. And worst of all, your happiness will mean nothing to him. His secrets will become walls, shutting you out from his world. He will criticize endlessly, never offering a word of appreciation. His resentment will replace love, and where there once was warmth, there will be only coldness. Notice carefully, if he treats everyone else with kindness but reserves his harshness only for you, then it is not circumstance, it is choice. If he no longer cares about resolving conflicts, but simply walks away, then the bond has already broken. Remember this, love makes a man move closer, but hate makes him withdraw. When a man truly hates you, you won't need to ask, it will be written in his actions, in his silence, in his absence. So, do not close your eyes to the signs. A man who hates you will show it not with love turned cold, but with actions that scream rejection. And in those moments you must remember, his hate is not your burden to carry. When a man genuinely hates you, the first and most piercing sign you will feel is disrespect. Respect is the foundation of any connection, whether it is love, friendship, or even basic human interaction. Without respect, everything else crumbles, and when hatred creeps into his heart, respect is the very first thing he takes away. It begins in his words, the tone changes, what was once soft becomes sharp. What was once filled with care now drips with sarcasm, mockery, and dismissal. He interrupts you, talks over you, or worse, completely ignores what you say. His words may sound small to others, but to you, they carry the heavy weight of rejection. Each sentence feels like a reminder that he no longer sees value in you. But it doesn't stop at words. His actions cut even deeper. He may roll his eyes when you speak, smirk at your pain, or deliberately dismiss your presence in front of others. Disrespect can be subtle, but when it is consistent, it becomes impossible to ignore. He will forget the promises he made, disregard the efforts you put in, and treat your contributions as if they mean nothing. What once was partnership becomes a battlefield where only his dominance matters. Even the smallest choices, where to go, what to do, how to speak, become opportunities for him to show you that your voice holds no place, and disrespect is not always loud. Sometimes it is in the silence, the lack of acknowledgement, the refusal to even meet your eyes. And the truth is, disrespect is not a slip of the tongue or a moment of bad mood, it is a pattern. When a man truly hates you, he makes disrespect his language, his way of communicating that he does not care about your dignity, your feelings, or your worth. And the more this disrespect becomes normal, the clearer it reveals that deep inside he has replaced love with. When a man genuinely hates you, the first and most piercing sign you will feel is disrespect. Respect is the foundation of any connection, whether it is love, friendship, or even basic human interaction. Without respect, everything else crumbles. And when hatred creeps into your heart, his actions cut even deeper. He may roll his eyes when you speak, smirk at your pain, or deliberately dismiss your presence in front of others. Disrespect can be subtle, but when it is consistent, it becomes impossible to ignore. He will forget the promises he made, disregard the efforts you put in, and treat your contributions as if they mean nothing. What once was partnership becomes a battlefield where only his dominance matters. Even the smallest choices, where to go, what to do, how to speak, become opportunities for him to show you that your voice holds no place. And disrespect is not always loud. Sometimes it is in the silence, the lack of acknowledgement, the refusal to even meet your eyes. And the truth is, disrespect is not a slip of the tongue or a moment of bad mood, it is a pattern. When a man truly hates you, he makes disrespect his language, his way of communicating that he does not care about your dignity, your feelings, or your worth. And the more this disrespect becomes normal, the clearer it reveals that deep inside, he has replaced love with. When a man genuinely hates you, the first and most piercing sign you will feel is disrespect. Respect is the foundation of any connection, whether it is love, friendship, or even basic human interaction. Without respect, everything else crumbles, and when hatred creeps into his heart, respect is the very first thing he takes away. It begins in his words, the tone changes, what was once soft becomes sharp. What was once filled with care now drips with sarcasm, mockery, and dismissal. He interrupts you, talks over you, or worse, completely ignores what you say. His words may sound small to others, but to you they carry the heavy weight of rejection. Each sentence feels like a reminder that he no longer sees value in you, but it doesn't stop at words. His actions cut even deeper. He may roll his eyes when you speak, smirk at your pain, or deliberately dismiss your presence in front of others. Disrespect can be subtle, but when it is consistent, it becomes impossible to ignore. He will forget the promises he made, disregard the efforts you put in, and treat your contributions as if they mean nothing. What once was partnership becomes a battlefield where only his dominance matters. Even the smallest choices, where to go, what to do, how to speak, become opportunities for him to show you that your voice holds no place, and disrespect is not always loud. Sometimes it is in the silence, the lack of acknowledgement, the refusal to even meet your eyes. And the truth is, disrespect is not a slip of the tongue or a moment of bad mood, it is a pattern. When a man truly hates you, he makes disrespect his language, his way of communicating that he does not care about your dignity, your feelings, or your worth. And the more this disrespect becomes normal, the clearer it reveals that deep inside, he has replaced love with you. When a man genuinely hates you, silence becomes his weapon, communication, the lifeline of any relationship suddenly disappears. He no longer shares his thoughts, his plans, or even the simplest details of his day. What was once open dialogue turns into closed doors. His words shrink, his replies become shorter, colder, emptier, until they finally fade into nothing at all. Ignoring your presence is not always loud, but it is always heavy. You will notice it when you enter the room and he does not lift his eyes. You will notice it when you speak and he responds with indifference, as though your voice is nothing but background noise. He hears you, but he chooses not to listen. He sees you, but he pretends not to. His silence is not peace. It is rejection disguised as calm. In hatred, avoidance is intentional. He does not want to engage because engagement means acknowledging your existence. He will scroll through his phone while you're speaking, turn his body away while you're sitting beside him, or leave the room without explanation. Each action whispers the same truth: you no longer matter to him. And the pain of being ignored is deeper than anger. Anger at least shows passion, a reaction, an energy, but silence is emptiness. Silence is proof that he has already detached himself. The more he avoids communication, the more he builds a wall that pushes you out of his world, leaving you to question not only his love, but your very place in his life. Because when communication dies, connection dies with it. And when a man chooses to starve a relationship of words, it is not by accident. It is by intention. His silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of hate, slowly cutting away every bond you thought was still holding you together, leading into. When a man truly hates you, his patience evaporates. Things that once made him smile now provoke his anger. Habits he once admired suddenly become unbearable. The smallest things, your laughter, your questions, even the way you move become sparks that ignite his irritation. Hatred reveals itself not in grand arguments, but in the constant, quiet frustration he shows. You will notice it in the sighs he lets out when you speak. You will notice it in the way his face hardens when you enter the room. You will notice it in the cold, sharp tone he uses when answering the simplest of questions. Every gesture, every glance, every pause feels like an accusation. You are the problem. This irritation is not about you. It is about what he feels for you. Because when love exists, imperfections are tolerated, sometimes even cherished. But when hate replaces love, those same imperfections become fuel for resentment. He no longer gives you grace, no longer forgives the small mistakes, no longer sees the humanity in you. Instead, he magnifies every flaw, holds on to every error, and uses them as reasons to justify his distance. Even your presence feels heavy to him. The way you sit, the way you speak, the way you breathe, that all seems to disturb him. Hatred changes his perception until nothing you do is right in his eyes, and this constant irritation is not random. It is deliberate. It is his way of showing you that he cannot stand you anymore, that he is emotionally disconnected, that he has no patience left for your existence. And as his irritation grows, his tolerance disappears. He stops trying to understand you, stops giving you the benefit of the doubt, stops seeing your intentions. Every word you say becomes wrong, every action becomes annoying, and every moment with you feels to him like a burden he can't wait to drop. And this irritation aside as unimportant. He makes you feel like your words carry no weight, as if your mind is empty and your heart irrelevant. This dismissal is not a mistake, it is intentional. It is his way of telling you that your place in his life is shrinking. Feelings become the biggest target of his indifference. If you are happy, he downplays it. If you are sad, he mocks it. If you are in pain, he accuses you of exaggerating. Nothing you feel is taken seriously anymore. He no longer comforts you, no longer supports you, no longer acknowledges the storms inside your heart. Instead, he uses your emotions against you, twisting them into weakness, prove, at least to him, that you are not worthy of care, and what hurts most is the contrast. He may value the opinions of strangers, friends, or even complete outsiders more than he values yours. He may listen to everyone else, give them space, show them respect. But when it comes to you, he offers nothing but disregard. That imbalance is not accidental, it is deliberate. It is his way of showing you that you no longer hold any special place in his mind or heart. Over time, this erasure of your voice begins to wear you down. You start questioning yourself, doubting your own thoughts, silencing your own emotions. And that is the silent destruction of hate. It doesn't only kill love, it tries to kill the confidence, the worth, the dignity of the one who is hated. And once a man stops valuing your feelings, the next step is even colder, even sharper, because soon his body language will start to reveal what his words try to hide, and you will begin to see it in the way when a man genuinely hates you, his body will betray him long before his words do. Even if he doesn't openly admit it, his posture, his expressions, and his movements begin to reveal the truth he tries to hide. Body language becomes the silent confession of his heart. He no longer leans toward you when you speak. Instead, he turns his body away, keeping distance as though even closeness is uncomfortable. His eyes that once held warmth now avoid yours, or worse, stare through you with a coldness that feels like ice. Touch disappears, not because he forgets, but because he chooses not to. No casual hand on your shoulder, no gentle brush of comfort, no effort to bridge the space between you. That absence of touch speaks volumes. Every gesture begins to feel like rejection. He crosses his arms when you approach, taps his fingers impatiently as you talk, sighs loudly as though your presence is an inconvenience. Even silence is different now. It is no longer a moment of peace, it is a wall built to push you further away. His body doesn't relax in your company, it stiffens as though protecting itself from you. And in public, the distance grows even more visible. He walks ahead of you instead of beside you. He avoids being seen holding your hand. He engages with others but withdraws from you, making it painfully clear that the connection you once shared has been severed. The cruelty of body language is that it is unfiltered. Words can lie, excuses can be made, but the body rarely deceives. When a man's body recoils from yours, when his every movement reflects impatience, when his presence feels like absence, that is hate made visible. And what makes it unbearable is how consistent it becomes. This rejection in his posture, his touch, his distance. It doesn't happen once or twice. It becomes a pattern, a rhythm, a language of coldness. And once his body begins to reject you, it doesn't stop there, because soon that rejection becomes louder, more humiliating, when he begins to deliberately embarrass and belittle you in front of others, and then you will see how. When a man genuinely hates you, he no longer protects your dignity, he attacks it. Hatred makes him cruel, and one of the clearest ways it shows is when he begins to embarrass you deliberately, not privately, but in front of others. What once was love that shielded you from harm now becomes poison that exposes you to humiliation. It may start with small remarks, a sarcastic joke about your flaws disguised as just playing, a subtle comment that undermines your intelligence, a smirk when you share your opinion, followed by a dismissive laugh to make others see you as foolish. These are not slips of the tongue. They are weapons meant to cut your confidence in front of witnesses. As time goes on, the cruelty escalates. He may openly mock your choices, criticize your appearance, or highlight your mistakes so others can laugh at your expense. He does not defend you when someone else disrespects you. He joins them, or worse, leads them. What should be private discussions become public shaming, designed not to fix anything but to crush you. And the pain of public belittlement runs deeper than private disrespect, because it is not only you who feels it. The eyes of others are there, watching, judging, witnessing the destruction of your worth. Instead of being your safe space, he becomes the source of your shame. Instead of lifting you up, he pulls you down where others can see. This act is not about anger, it is about power. A man who loves you protects your image, even in his frustration. But a man who hates you uses every opportunity to strip away your pride. He knows words in public cut twice as deep, and he uses them to remind you that in his eyes you are nothing, and the most dangerous part. He often does it with a smile, pretending it's just a joke, while you sit there, broken inside, knowing it was never meant to be funny. That is how hate disguises itself, as humor, as casual remarks, as harmless teasing. But the truth is, it is venom meant to wound. And once a man feels no guilt in humiliating you, it is only a matter of time before he refuses to even share his time with you. Because when respect is gone and humiliation takes its place, the next thing he withdraws is. When a man genuinely hates you, time becomes the clearest proof. Time is the most valuable thing a person can give, and love always makes room for it. But when hate begins to live in his heart, he withdraws the one gift that cannot be taken, his presence. He no longer seeks your hand. Moments that were once cherished now feel like chores. Sitting with you, talking with you, eating beside you. What once was effortless now becomes something you You will find excuses to stay away, reasons to be busy, and distractions everywhere except near. Work, friends, screens, or even silence become more attractive than being with you. And even when he is physically present, his mind is absent. He sits across from you but scrolls endlessly on his phone. He nods without listening. He stares into the distance when you speak, as though being near you drains him instead of fulfilling him. Quality time requires attention, engagement, and care. But he offers none of these because in his heart, being with you feels like a burden. The painful part is that he still has time, just not for you. He laughs with friends, stays up late for others, finds energy for strangers, but when it comes to you, he claims exhaustion. That contrast is the dagger. It shows that it is not life that keeps him busy. It is his choice to exclude you from the life he still lives fully elsewhere. And little by little, you feel it. The silence at the dinner table, the empty seat beside you, the canceled plans, the excuses that sound rehearsed. Time disappears, and with it, so does the bond you once shared. Because love always creates time, but hate always steals it away. When a man refuses to give you his time, he is not just rejecting moments. He is rejecting connection itself. And once he no longer invests in time with you, the next step is even colder. He stops caring altogether about your happiness, your comfort, your well-being, and that is when you begin to realize how. When a man genuinely hates you, he stops caring about the most basic thing, your happiness. A man who loves you looks for ways to bring a smile to your face, but a man who hates you couldn't care less if you are joyful or broken, uplifted or drowning. Your feelings no longer matter to him. Your comfort is no longer his concern. Your pain is no longer his responsibility. You will notice it in the little things first. When you share good news, he responds with coldness, as though your success is meaningless. When you are excited about something, he mocks it, turning your joy into something small and unworthy. When you try to celebrate, he withdraws, leaving you to enjoy alone, or worse, he ruins the moment entirely, but it does not end there. Hatred becomes most visible in times of struggle. When you're sick, he doesn't check on you. When you're tired, he doesn't help you. When you're hurting, he doesn't comfort you. Instead of reaching out a hand, he pulls it away. Instead of making your burden lighter, he makes it heavier with indifference. And that indifference is not forgetfulness. It is intentional. Even worse, sometimes he seems to take quiet satisfaction in your unhappiness. He may not say it outright, but his silence when you're in pain, his smirk when you're disappointed, his lack of effort when you need support, all of it reveals the same truth. Your well-being is no longer connected to his heart. And what makes this rejection most painful is how different it once was. You remember when he used to care, when he used to check, when he used to hold you together in moments of weakness. Now, he does the opposite. He lets you fall, lets you break, lets you suffer without lifting a finger. That shift is not confusion, it is hatred turning love into cruelty. Because a man who loves you will always fight to protect your peace, but a man who hates you will watch it burn without flinching. And once your happiness no longer matters to him, once your well-being becomes invisible in his eyes, the next sign grows stronger. He begins to shut you out completely, keeping secrets, locking away his emotions, and making sure you realize how. When a man genuinely hates you, he begins to close the doors of his inner world. Where there was once openness, there is now secrecy. Where there was once sharing, there is now silence. He locks away his thoughts, his feelings, his plans, not because he forgot to tell you, but because he doesn't want you to know anymore. The emotional wall begins to rise slowly. At first, he withholds small things, where he went, who he spoke to, what he was thinking. Then it grows into bigger things, decisions made without your input, choices that affect you but exclude you. He no longer invites you into his world. He creates a world where you are no longer welcome, and the silence is heavier than any argument. He may be physically present, but emotionally he is gone. You talk, but he does not respond. You ask, but he gives vague answers. You try to connect, but he turns cold, as though your attempt to reach him is an intrusion rather than an act of care. Hatred makes him hide not just information, but his very self. He will tell others what he refuses to tell you. He will share with strangers what he no longer shares with you. That betrayal cuts deeper than lies, because it tells you that you no longer hold a place of trust in his life. And when he does let you in, it is never about his true emotions. He keeps his fears, his worries, his dreams locked away, leaving you with surface-level conversations that feel empty. You become an outsider in a life you thought you were part of. And that exclusion is intentional, because hate seeks to isolate, to create distance, to make you feel unnecessary. But the most painful part is not just the secrets. It is the way he guards himself against you as if you are the enemy. His eyes avoid yours when you ask questions, his body tenses when you try to get close, his voice grows sharp when you press too hard. He is not just hiding, he is pushing you away brick by brick, wall by wall, until the connection that once held you together feels impossible to reach. And once a man begins to shut you out emotionally, it is only a matter of time before that wall turns into rivalry, where instead of being your partner, he starts competing with you, and then you will see how. When a man genuinely hates you, he no longer sees you as a partner. He sees you as competition. What should be a bond of teamwork turns into a battlefield where every success you achieve feels like a threat to him. Instead of celebrating you, he resents you. Instead of lifting you higher, he pulls you down, because in his eyes, your growth is his loss. You will notice it in the small victories first. When you accomplish something, he won't congratulate you, he will compare. If you earn praise, he will highlight his own achievements to overshadow yours. If you shine, he will look for ways to dim your light. Your happiness becomes his irritation, your success becomes his jealousy, your progress becomes his excuse to compete. And this competition is not playful. It is poisoned by resentment. He doesn't compete to grow. He competes to prove that you are beneath him. Every conversation turns into a contest, every disagreement into a war, every situation into an opportunity for him to win and you to lose. He twists arguments to make himself right, even when he is wrong. He turns cooperation into conflict, because his goal is not unity but domination. Hatred blinds him from seeing you as a teammate. Instead of saying, "We did this together," he says, "I did it better." Instead of offering support, he offers criticism. Instead of being happy that you rise, he quietly waits for you to fall so he can stand taller. A man who competes with you in this way is not driven by love, because love seeks harmony, not rivalry. And over time, this constant competition breaks more than trust. It breaks peace. You begin to feel unsafe sharing your victories with him, because instead of applause, you expect bitterness. You stop expecting encouragement, because you know criticism will come instead. What should have been a bond of mutual growth becomes a silent war, where every step you take forward only fuels his hate. And once he sees you as competition instead of a companion, it does not stop there, because soon his need to dominate shows itself in his words, where instead of celebrating or supporting, he will only criticize, only tear down, only remind you that in his eyes you can never be enough, and that when you begin to see how, when a man genuinely hates you, his words become weapons. No matter what you do, no matter how much effort you put in, he will find fault in it. Criticism replaces appreciation. Where there should be gratitude, there is judgment. Where there should be recognition, there is ridicule. Nothing you do is ever enough for him because hate blinds him to your worth. It begins with constant complaints. If you try to help, he says you made it worse. If you try to express love, he calls it unnecessary. If you succeed at something, he points out the flaws. Every step you take is met with correction, every effort with disapproval, every attempt with mockery. And this is not constructive criticism meant to improve. It is destructive criticism meant to break. You will notice that his words carry no because acknowledgement would mean giving you value, and he no longer wants you to feel valuable. The weight of constant criticism is heavy. It chips away at your confidence, makes you question your abilities, makes you wonder if you are truly failing. But the truth is, his criticism is not about your mistakes. It is about his resentment. He criticizes not because you are wrong, but because he no longer wants to see you as right. He cannot bear to lift you, so he chooses to pull you down. And when a man refuses to appreciate you, when he only sees what is wrong and never what is right, that is not love. It is contempt dressed as concern. And this cycle of negativity only deepens because soon criticism transforms into something darker, where instead of love and patience, you begin to feel the heavy presence of resentment in every glance, every word, every silence, and that is when you realize how. When a man genuinely hates you, love no longer guides his actions, resentment does. Resentment is not just anger, it is anger that has been stored, nursed, and allowed to rot into bitterness. It seeps into his words, his tone, his silence, his very presence. And soon, everything he does toward you is stained with that bitterness. Resentment shows in his eyes before it shows in his voice. You see it in the way he looks at you, not with warmth, not with admiration, but with an expression that feels heavy, impatient, even disgusted. Small things irritate him, not because they matter, but because in his heart he carries unresolved hatred. You will notice it in conversations. Every discussion feels like a battlefield, even when there is nothing to fight about. He interprets your words in the worst way possible, twisting even your kindness into insults. His replies are laced with sarcasm, his tone sharp, his patience non-existent. It feels as if he is constantly waiting for you to make a mistake, so he can unleash the bitterness he keeps stored inside. Resentment also shows in how he treats your efforts. If you give love, he calls it control. If you give care, he calls it unnecessary. If you give time, he calls it suffocating. Your attempts to bridge the gap only widen it, because resentment blinds him from seeing your intentions clearly. To him, everything you do is wrong, not because it is wrong, but because his heart is poisoned against you. And the danger of resentment is that it grows quietly. Unlike rage, which is loud and burns quickly, resentment is silent. It lingers, it festers, it corrodes every bond until there is nothing left but distance and coldness. And once a man begins to operate from resentment instead of love, even the smallest gestures of care from you will feel wasted, because his heart no longer receives them. This shift from love to resentment is the ultimate betrayal of the bond you once shared. It is no longer about what you did or didn't do. It is about the fact that in his heart, he has already chosen to see you as the enemy instead of the companion. And when resentment takes over, the cruelest part begins to surface. He starts treating others with kindness while reserving his harshness only for you, and that is when you will begin to notice how. When a man genuinely hates you, the sharpest pain comes not from his anger, but from the contrast. You watch him smile at others, laugh with strangers, show kindness to people outside. But the moment he turns to you, his warmth disappears. The love he still has for the world becomes cruelty reserved only for you. In public, he can be charming. He speaks politely, he listens with patience, he makes others feel valued. But behind closed doors, or even when you stand right beside him, you feel the sting of his coldness. His words turn sharp, his tone grows harsh, his patience evaporates. It is as though the best of him belongs to the world and the worst of him is all that he chooses to give you, and that contrast is not accidental, it is deliberate. It shows that his harshness is not the result of stress or exhaustion or circumstance, because if he can control his temper with others, if he can choose patience with strangers, then the cruelty he gives you is not loss of control, it is a choice. He has decided that you do not deserve the kindness he so freely gives away. The cruelty cuts deeper when he uses this contrast against you. If you question his coldness, he points to his kindness with others as proof that the problem must be you. He makes you feel guilty for noticing his harshness, as though you are imagining it. But the truth is undeniable. His selective kindness reveals where his heart lies, and his consistent cruelty toward you reveals where it no longer does. This double face breaks you more than outright hatred, because it leaves you wondering why he can be patient with everyone else but impatient with you, why he can encourage others but tear you down, why he can give the best of himself to the outside world but only save the bitterness for your heart. That inequality is not love fading, it is hate growing. And once a man reserves his harshness only for you, it shows that in his eyes you are no longer someone he wishes to protect, but someone he wishes to punish. And when that punishment becomes his habit, soon he will stop even pretending to resolve conflicts, because to him your pain no longer matters, and then you will see how. When a man genuinely hates you, even conflict changes its shape. In love, conflict is painful but necessary. It becomes a bridge to understanding, a way to clear the air and find peace again. But in hate, conflict is no longer something to resolve. It is something to escape. He doesn't argue to fix things, he avoids to abandon things. He stops caring about resolution because he has already let go of the bond. You will see it in the way he responds to disagreements. Instead of talking, he shuts down. Instead of listening, he dismisses. Instead of meeting you halfway, he walks away entirely. His silence is not maturity, it is avoidance. His withdrawal is not peace, it is indifference. He doesn't fight the relationship anymore, because in his heart, it is no longer worth fighting. And the silence after conflict arguments. Days may pass without a word from him, not because he is reflecting, but because he doesn't care enough to return. He leaves problems unresolved, emotions hanging, wounds open, and his indifference tells you that whether the problem heals or not means nothing to him. A man who loves you may get angry, but he always returns with a desire to mend. A man who hates you no longer returns. He leaves you to wrestle with your own pain, solve issues alone, carry the weight of both your hurt in his absence. His refusal to resolve is not laziness. It is hatred stripping away any sense of responsibility for the relationship. The most devastating part is the helplessness it creates. You are left speaking to silence, reaching for someone who has already turned his back. And the more he walks away, the clearer the truth becomes. It is not the argument that killed the love, it is the indifference that followed. Because when someone no longer cares to fix what is broken, it is because, deep down, they no longer care if it breaks completely. And when a man stops caring about resolution, when he chooses walking away over working through, it only leads to the final and clearest sign of all, where his actions, instead of showing love, consistently contradict it, pulling away from you until. When a man genuinely hates you, his actions speak louder than any words he could ever say. Love is always proven through action, through showing up, through giving, through effort, through presence. But when hate replaces love, those actions change completely. He no longer invests in you. He no longer chooses you. He no longer gives. You only feel him pulling away, withdrawing, retreating further with every passing day. You begin to notice the absence first. The absence of small gestures that once mattered. The way he used to check on you. The way he used to listen. The way he used to reach for your hand without thinking. Those little things that once made you feel safe slowly disappear, not because he forgot, but because he no longer wants to do them. Hatred steals the will to give. His actions start to contradict his words. He may still say, "I care," but his behavior shows the opposite. He may still say, "I'm here," but when you need him, he is nowhere to be found. He may still say, "I love you," but those words are hollow because every choice he makes proves the opposite. You can hear the words, but you feel the absence in the way he treats you. And it's not just what he withholds, it's what he does instead. Instead of making time, he makes excuses. Instead of giving comfort, he gives silence. Instead of offering support, he offers distance. Every opportunity to show love becomes an opportunity to remind you that the love is gone. His actions don't just fail to nurture you. They drain you, leaving you wondering how you became someone he no longer cares to give to. Love gives, hate withdraws. Love invests, hate abandons. Love proves itself in the little things, but hate proves itself in the lack of them. And when a man's actions begin to contradict love, when everything he does pulls away instead of pulling closer, when every day feels like a reminder that his presence is only physical while his heart is absent, then the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Because actions never lie, they reveal where the heart truly lives, and when his actions show only absence, only rejection, only withdrawal, then. And when you gather all these signs together, when his words cut instead of heal, when his eyes turn cold, when his actions pull away instead of drawing close, you cannot escape the truth. Love cannot survive in the presence of hatred because hate does not nurture, it destroys. A man who genuinely hates you will not hide it forever. His patterns will speak, his silence will scream, his distance will shout louder than anything he could ever confess. And as painful as it is, you must see it for what it is, not confusion, not a phase, not a mistake, but a choice. The hardest part is accepting that his hate has nothing to do with your worth and everything to do with his heart. And once you see it clearly, you face a choice too. Either to keep holding on to a man who has already let go, or to step away with dignity, knowing that genuine hate can never be turned back into genuine love. Because in the end, love is proven through care, through presence, through effort. Hate is proven through neglect, through cruelty, through distance. And when his actions leave no room for doubt, you will know. The man who does these things does not love you anymore. He hates you, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop denying what his heart has already revealed.